in the same way that, there's a ritual to just every cycle in our lives of like the week, the weekend. Every time we get to the weekend, it's like you have a feeling every time you're getting ready for like the week to start on Monday, there's a certain feeling of time passing and that kind of cyclical sense. There's like a monthly rhythm, which is not really as important, but what the holidays align us to is a seasonal rhythm that I think taps into something very biological and very primal, and remind us of this long view. It has to do with, at least if you're in the northern hemisphere and it's the winter, it has to do with sort of reflecting on everything that you've kind of brought together, and everyone kind of huddling in a room, family getting together for the winter. You have food preserves. You're just kind of relaxing. There's not much to do. You don't want to go out and expose yourself to weather. I think there's something very primal that the holiday sits on top of that actually is part of our biology. That we can also talk about there.
Well, that's fascinating because I'm thinking about exactly that while I'm listening to you guys, because I, doing some research for this, and just every year you learn a little bit more about the holidays than you did the year past. And one of the things I was like, oh wow, so like Christmas as we know it, up until like the late 18th century or 18th, I can't remember, but it was like for a while it was debauchery. It wasn't anything like this. It was so I'm like, okay, so because we need this annual catharsis. This sounds like, let's take the holidays out of it for a second. All the things we're talking about just sound like really important steps to go through and like the human experience. And so I'm wondering, prior to the garland and the specials and the animated reindeer and all that, was this a pattern that we had where we like once a year we all kind of took stock of things and we all appreciated what we had? And that might be a question outside of the scope of this podcast, but I was wondering, to hear you say that we're aligned with all these things, it's fascinating to me that this is just something, it's a rhythm that we're already kind of in, we're predisposed for.
Well, clearly, Alan's right, like, and we can't forget, like, the seasons are changing during the winter holidays, the light is changing, temperature is changing. In the anthropological study of food celebrations, which is one of the oldest kinds of celebration upon which culture builds out of, probably certain kinds of religions. You would grow yams, wherever you were in New Guinea or the like. Harvest would come. You'd have a week of food sharing, gratitude, ritual, music, dance, and so I think Alan's onto something that we should be thinking about, which is there are these kind of earlier predecessors to these moments that bring us together in these holidays.